Hello, everyone, and welcome. We'll get started in 30 seconds or so just to allow people to enter. Thanks so much. Okay, in the interest of time, I'll get started. Hi, and thank you for joining us. My name is Tara King, and I am a senior project director at the AAAS, the American Association for the Advancement of Science, lots of acronyms. Um, I'm happy to have you join us today to help provide you with information about our 2026 STEM Scholars and PI meeting scholar nomination process. I'm joined by two colleagues of mine from the AAAS STEM Rec. They are Rachel Stivers. I'll have Rachel pop on to say hi.
Hi, everybody. My name is Rachel Stivers, and I'm a project manager here at AAAS. I am one of the project managers that helps with the STEM Resource and Evaluation Center, and I also manage our Women in STEM portfolio of projects. I'll turn it over to Lily Davy, who's one of our colleagues as well.
Hi everyone. My camera is broken today for some reason, so I'm sorry about that. I'm a senior project associate at AAAS. Most of my work is on STEMRec. I work more on the scholar side of things than PI, but I do a little bit of everything here. And then I also support a project called the Exemplary Pathways Program, Partnership Program, that's funded by the Sloan Foundation. So I'll turn it back to Tara.
Thanks, Lily and Rachel. So AAAS STEM Rec is a small but mighty team. We have a handful of other colleagues that work alongside us to coordinate everything with the rec that aren't on the call today, but I'm sure you'll get to meet them on future information sessions and know before you go sessions. Let me get started. I have a few slides, but it'll mainly be informal. It'll provide you an opportunity to get some questions answered that you might have about the scholar nomination process since we're just about to open that. So I always like to see who's in the room, who's joining us today. Feel free to use the chat to say hello, introduce yourself, say your institution, and I'm kind of curious, how many of you have nominated scholars to attend a previous scholars meeting? So if you can answer that question as well, that's also helpful. I see a lot of familiar names and then I see some not familiar names, so happy to have you all join us. Please continue to say hi and I'll just move forward because I'd like to have plenty of time for you to ask questions. Just a bit of housekeeping. As you're doing so, please feel free to write questions, say hi in the chat at any time while we're speaking. Today's slides and recording will be posted on our event page of the STEMRec website. We'll be sure to post that in the chat as well. If you need closed captioning, it is available. You'll just have to click on the live transcript CC icon at the bottom of your Zoom bar to access that. We hope everything goes smoothly for you, but in case you have any difficulties, please contact my colleague Rachel directly using the chat function, or if you can't do that, feel free to email her at rstivers@aas.org. So today we're going to be talking, I always like to talk a little bit about the rec in case folks are new to hearing about the rec, a tiny bit about the meeting, and then spend most of our time about scholar nomination and selection process to help you understand that as we're launching it next week. We'll talk about notification and also registration for the meeting because you might have questions for that as well. And we'll provide you with some FAQ documents and resources, and then we're here to answer your questions. So feel free, if you have questions, come up to type them in the chat. And as I'm talking, Rachel and Lily, excuse me, Rachel and Lily will help monitor them so I don't miss any. So the AAAS STEM Rec was established in October 2022 through a competitive proposal process. So there was a solicitation for the rec to be established, and AAAS won that award. And we're so happy to staff it and promote it. And in a nutshell, really, all of our activities are to support the NSF STEM portfolio, as well as building capacity of your individual programs, helping you all as PIs and project leaders of STEM programs, and helping to build the capacity of your STEM scholars. So we do this in many ways, but the main way that we support scholars is through this exciting in-person meeting that we host every year. This will be our fourth, I guess, scholars meeting. Our first was 2023 in Washington, D.C. Then we had a joint scholars and PI meeting in 2024. Last year, we had just a scholars meeting in San Diego. And if you notice a pattern, this year is a joint scholars and PI meeting in Washington, D.C. So the scholars meeting is an every year thing. The PI portion of that meeting or co-location of that meeting occurs every other year. So we're on a joint meeting year this year. We're really excited to host not only, over 1,000 scholars, but we usually end up around 700 or so uh, PIs, co-PIs, program staff, evaluators, project leaders, sometimes prospective STEM awardees. We're happy to host you all and engage you all and help support your scholars as well as your projects. So this year, our meeting will take place October 9th through 11th in Washington, D.C. So we're on home turf. AAAS is located in D.C. It's always great to welcome you all to our city. The main meeting will be at the Washington Hilton. And because this meeting is so large, we're actually going to have 3 hotels where attendees will be housed, but all of the meeting activities will be at the Washington Hilton. We'll provide a lot more information about that in the future, but just wanted to give you a heads up about the context there. We have a meeting website that we will continually update, and that link has been put in the chat. Thanks, Rachel. Um, so I just want to jump into the scholar nomination process. But right before I do so, I do want to say that the scholar and PI joint meeting is really unique in that it's number one, huge. I think it's the second largest meeting AAAS does beyond our annual meeting, which is great. But we have programming for both PIs and scholars, and they're sort of, you could think of them as separate tracks. So there will be separate scholar workshops, PI workshops, separate plenaries, but we do have a joint opening and closing plenary every year. So it's wonderful to have the entire audience of scholars and PIs come together for opening and closing plenaries. You'll get much more information about the programming in the future. Just wanted to give you that large kind of basis of understanding of kind of what takes place. And with your scholars, it's great because you have opportunities for you to sit near your scholars, during the opening, closing, but you also have time apart where you can go to workshops with your colleagues running other STEM programs while the scholars are at workshops and activities with other scholars. So it's a great chance to do activities separately and together. So we're really excited to host your scholars, and we unfortunately we love to host everybody, but we just don't have the capacity. And that's really our main limitation and why we have to go through a whole selection process is because literally there's only so many seats in these rooms that we can fit folks and feed them and have space for them and have hotel rooms guaranteed for them. So this is why we have the nomination process. Very quickly, the criteria is very basic. Scholars must be supported by an active STEM program at the time of the meeting. That's sort of the main criteria. This was established through, we asked NSF when we were building the first meeting, this was the criteria they set. They wanted to support active scholars. So this means that recent graduates or former participants of your STEM programs are not eligible. We want to focus on scholars participating in active grants at the time of the meeting. So you have to think about this because they're active scholars in October at the time of the meeting, so during fall 2026. Um, that means that for undergraduate STEM scholars, they have to be in their second year of studies or beyond because you wouldn't be able to nominate freshmen in October. It's just too short of a timeline. But for those supporting graduate STEM scholars, they can be in any class year. That doesn't matter. Scholars must be 18 years of age or older at the time of the meeting. That's just a legal thing on our side. That usually is never a problem. Um, one thing when you think about eligibility criteria, we're going to ask you to prioritize your nominations of scholars. So when you think about, and I'll go into more depth later on, but just as a main point, think about those who are, most likely going to be active in your project in fall 2026. So if a student might possibly be transferring or they're kind of iffy about their major, thinking about potentially switching out of the major, if they're in jeopardy of falling ineligible in the fall, I would I would say put them lower on your nomination form because it just leads into issues later on because they might end up taking a seat for and then dropping out and it's very complicated. So that's why you know your scholars best. We don't know them. We're sitting in DC. You work with them every day. We're putting the trust in you to tell us out of the scholars I nominate, here's one, two, three, four with the top priorities, one, two, three, four. So each active award can nominate up to 10 scholars, and we're asking that award submit only one nomination form per award. So please coordinate with your co-PI's project staff so that you only submit one award. It just makes things complicated when we get several award submissions from one award. We really want to make things sort of as fair as possible, and that's giving everybody, all the awards, the opportunity to nominate up to 10. PIs will be sent an email that contains the nomination form link. This is going to be March 2nd. I think the email is set to go out at 10 a.m. The nomination window is going to be March 2nd through March 31st. So you have a good, about a month to coordinate your nominations and get them in. Talk to your scholars. Make sure that you're also nominating the scholars that are interested and could participate. I'll go into more detail of that in the later slide. But yeah, actually, yes, I do have a point here. Confirm their interest and availability before you nominate them. You want to have a conversation and make sure they're comfortable with it before you put their name out there. Just a bit so you know about the form, we do have a sample nomination form that we've provided in a prior email. Very general information. You'll just need your STEM award number. This helps us to track, one form and 10 scholars per award. Your first and last name, your email, your institution, your scholar's first and last name for each of those that you're nominating, their emails, their institution, their STEM field, so which area of STEM that they're majoring in, and their academic level, which is expected in October. So not like if they're, freshmen right now, don't put freshman, put sophomore if they're going to be sophomore in October. We've highlighted in red your email and the scholar's email. Please, please triple check that you enter these emails in correctly because this is what we base all of our communications off of. We use the information that you put in the form to then send notifications about selection, information about travel booking. And in the past, typos happen, I understand, but like a little typo can have a big implication because the person submitting the nomination might not have realized they put a typo and we don't know it's a typo. So then we keep trying to email a scholar, we can't reach them, the scholar is saying they're not getting the emails. So please triple check that your email that you enter, as well as the email of every scholar that you enter, is correct. And please let scholars know the email that you used, because oftentimes scholars will have a institution email as well as a personal email. So sometimes they're looking for an email sent to a different place. So if you're using their school email, please tell them, like, I'm nominating you. I'm using your university email. That's where the notices are going to come from. Please monitor that inbox. Um, that's really important because, it's the only line of communication we have to send information to scholars as well as to you. I mentioned this briefly, but please enter the information of the scholars in an order so that you're prioritizing those who should receive most consideration for attendance first. So put them in the student one spot, scholar two, scholar three, four, up to 10. There's a lot more guidance about this in our FAQs, but just some top line guidance here. Prioritize nominating scholars who have not attended the STEM Scholars Meeting in previous years. We really want to provide this opportunity to as many scholars as possible. Like, it's okay if somebody has attended in a past year. We're not going to kick them out or anything, but we really want to reserve as many seats as possible for first timers. And hand in hand with this, the meeting is most beneficial for scholars who may have never attended a professional conference before. We really set up a very supportive environment, a very, not high stakes at all. So even in the case where if scholars want to present a poster, things aren't judged. It's a very supportive, helpful, collegial, community building atmosphere. So we really want to help scholars build their confidence and their professional development, help them learn how to be confident in talking about themselves, networking with others, presenting their scientific work, all of these types of things, exposing them to diverse career paths. So we found that the meeting is most beneficial for those scholars who might be their first time ever attending any type of professional meeting. So think about that when you're going to submit your scholar names on your nomination form. I believe, yeah, Rachel posted our sample form as well as our FAQs in the chat. Thank you. So approximately 1,000 scholars will be selected to attend. What we do every year is maximize the number of available seats we have to offers. So I say about 1,000, so there might be potentially 1,100 seats this year, so we will maximize that as much as possible. With this, only those selected are permitted to attend. So if you, oftentimes we get this question, if you have money in your grant to say like, oh, this scholar wasn't selected, but I can fund them, I'm so sorry, we still can't accept them because of this. We really are maximizing the space that we have to provide this opportunity to as many people as possible because the National Science Foundation has given us funds to use to support 100% of the travel of these scholars, basically. So all of the scholars who are selected, the rec will pay for round trip flights or train. They'll get funds on a travel stipend card to reimburse them for any ground transportation costs. We provide also on that stipend card money for meals not provided at the meeting. We provide all the meals at the meeting. There's no registration fee. We provide all the hotel nights needed to attend the meeting. So as you can imagine, this is a huge logistical undertaking. We really have worked very hard to support as many scholars as possible and pay for as many scholars as possible. And that's like the reason why scholars just can't show up that are not selected. I appreciate your help with that as well. Selection will be based on maximizing scholar representation across the total number of active awards that have submitted nomination forms. So literally, if there are, 400 and something awards that submitted, we'll think about the number of seats we have, divide that and say, okay, we can select up to 5 from every award, whatever that number comes out to be. And given that nominators have indicated who should receive priority, what we do then is say, okay, 1 through 5 is what we can accept from all of these awards that submitted. And that's sort of how we do our selection criteria to make it most fair, to have maximum representation across the awards. A common question we have are what happens to the scholars who were nominated but not selected? Those scholars are automatically put on a wait list. So this is why we have you nominate up to 10 because it kind of turns into an automatic wait list. So say we can select up to 5 from every award. then we know like if space becomes available because we offer the opportunity, students don't meet the deadline. So if they don't meet deadlines, then we assume that they can't come. Then we'll then open seats up to those on the wait list. Then we'll start with, say, if we left out at five, we'll start with six and kind of fill up those spaces like that. So it's great that we have this automatic wait list. You don't have to kind of reach back out to us and put those people on the wait list. Also, if you do, if not all of your scholars are selected and you do have to communicate with your scholars about that, please assure them that like you're nominated, that means you're on the wait list. So if space opens up, we'll email them, we'll email you. And the thing they have to pay attention to if they're in this situation is that the deadlines are going to be really tight for travel booking and things. So they'll just have to be on it to make sure they register and book the travel and follow the directions and meet the deadlines that we give them. And the nominator will also be notified if we do select some of your scholars off the wait list. We really try to keep you all in the loop so that you can help them as much as possible, and communicate with them, share information with them. We really need your help as, mentors to them to help them through this process, help them meet deadlines. And we encourage you all to answer questions they have and see if they have questions about this process as well. So then the next step is once they've been nominated, they've been selected, they'll receive an email saying that they've been selected and that they will receive a link that they need to use to register. And this will have a registration deadline. So I don't have it here, but it's mainly like the month of April is when registration is open. So online meeting registration will open in April and scholars will be sent a non-transferable registration link. So this is how we ensure that only those who have been selected are able to register to attend. It matches up with the scholar's email address that you used in the nomination form. So this is another reason why we say, like, please make sure that email is correct, because if there is a typo in there, then they can't register. They'll get an error because it doesn't match. So selected scholars are responsible for registering themselves using that email by the noted deadline. And we just want to, like I said, ensure that keep the lines of communication open with you all as nominators to ensure that you can also follow up and help shepherd them through these processes. So since this is a joint meeting, PIs, co-PIs, project staff who wish to attend the meeting, once registration opens, you'll just be able to register. There won't be any kind of selection criteria or anything like that because it is a joint meeting. It'll just be scholars that have that criteria where they need to use their emails to register. But you all as PIs, co-PIs, project leaders can just register to attend. This is really important. I want to stress there's not going to be an on-site meeting registration. So if you plan to attend, please do so and register online to know that we're coming. Again, this is to help us manage with these large numbers to make sure our capacity is good in terms of, our food, our seating, our hotels. It's a really key piece that we understand who is coming and who is not coming. So please keep us in the loop, especially if you register and then you're not going to come. We'll have a cancellation form. All this information will be shared later on. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that please register if you plan to come. If you show up on site, we won't be able to accept you or give you a badge or anything. So some FAQs that we often get, we've outlined in this document. Oftentimes we get asked if the nomination will open up later on. Unfortunately, no. There's so much behind the scenes logistics that we have to do with folks to get them prepared to book their travel, stipend cards, hotel rooms, that it takes a good long timeline to get all this ready. But this is why, like I said, we have you all nominate up to 10 because that becomes a wait list. And then we can go back to that wait list and offer those folks that we didn't offer before slots. So this is the way we juggle spots that open up without having to reopen up a nomination process. I answered this one previously, but unfortunately, even if you have funds to support a scholar to travel, they won't be able to attend because the meeting is closed only those scholars who have been selected. And this is another good question. So for those awards in which they're not currently supporting scholars or they support transfers or they're in these situations where like they would love to send students, but they don't know who those students will be until closer to the meeting. Unfortunately, we just can't accommodate those students this year. We just would tell you to please, for next year, make sure they're student one or student two when you nominate to attend next year. It's just too close of a turnaround for us to figure out to be able to make all those logistics happen. And another common question is about swaps. So if you have students who are selected and then for some reason they can't come, we can't swap. It's again just the logistics of it. Like when a student books a plane ticket, please know that those tickets are in their name and they're non-transferable, non-refundable. So it's not as simple as just changing names on seats. There's a lot more to it. Um, what can happen is like if a student cancels and a space opens up, we can go to the wait list to offer seats potentially, but it's not, we can't do like one for one swaps, if that makes sense. I threw a bunch of information at you. Um, just want to also let you know that we have all of these resource links in the document. I'm sorry, in the PowerPoint as well. Includes the sample scholar nomination form, the FAQs about nomination, the FAQs about the general meeting, a link to the meeting page. Also, I want to point your attention that we do have a career and education fair, and the call for exhibitors to participate in this is open. So if you think your college or school or program, whatever it is looking for um, recruiting into their graduate programs, this is a great opportunity. I encourage you to forward that to those graduate program recruiters in your university and to see if they would like to um, participate in our career and education fair. That link is to the registration process, which has an early bird registration fee through August 1st. And then in that, you'll see a prospectus guide, which provides a lot more information that those who are recruiters would definitely be interested in about the student population and the types of opportunities that these scholars are looking for. So I just wanted to point that to your attention in case you wanted to forward that opportunity to colleagues at your college or university. Also, just sharing some links to stay connected to us. Definitely follow. We're very active on LinkedIn and the CISO unit. So the STEM Rec is one program of many within the AAAS Center for Science, Education, and Workforce, or CISO. Um, Welcome you to follow us there. We also post timely information about the meeting on LinkedIn and on Blue Sky as well. If you're not on our mailing list, please join it as well. And yep, we're up to question. So I know I threw a lot of information. I'm happy to take questions. Let me take my screen down.
Thanks, Tara. While you do that, there's been some questions in the chat that I've been answering, but I can start by reading some of the ones that have come in while you've been presenting.
Great. Yeah.
And then after that, if people want to still put questions in the chat, you're more than welcome to, or I've changed the settings so you can unmute yourself. But if you do unmute yourself, please be sure to raise your hand first so we know to call on you. Tara, the first question is, should the PIs make their own travel reservations if they are not requesting travel funds?
Yes, that's a great question. So we're in the solicitation, and this has been in the solicitation for several years now. When you write an NSF grant proposal, you're supposed to budget in there every other year funds to attend the PI meeting. That's the line that you're supposed to use as travel funds to attend this meeting, this every other year meeting. So we expect that a bunch of awards have done that, so that's not a problem. They'll just use those lines to pay for their travel to attend the meeting. However, if for some reason you don't have the funds available in your grant, we do have a small amount of travel award funds that you can apply for. And we'll give more information about this going forward, but just be aware that it is possible to receive a travel award from AAAS if you need to attend the meeting. But it's a small pot, especially compared to, how many scholars that we're funding. And we do expect that a lot of STEM grants, it won't be a problem because they've funded it in from the start.
Yeah, thanks, Tara. And I will say for those folks who do not get a travel award, yes, typically you would book your own reservation for the hotel. If you are awarded the travel award, we would book it for you. And we also book hotels for all of the scholars. But there will be an email with much more detailed information about booking your travel and booking your hotel when we get closer to the meeting.
And I see Tunkay put a related question. So
Yeah.
there's no registration fee for anybody. So that's a
Yeah.
great part of this meeting. We're using NSF funding so that even if you are a PI attending by using your own travel funds, all you have to do is register. There's no registration fee. The registration is just to let us know that you are coming and let us know if you have dietary restrictions, things like that. But there's no registration fee for anybody.
Yeah, thank you, Tara. The next question is, can social science researchers as part of the project team staff attend the meeting too?
Yep. So we have, when we say PIs, it's sort of shorthand for project leaders, project staff. It's just the lingo NSF uses. But we're very much open to PIs, co-PIs, evaluators, social science researchers, those folks who are, senior personnel, even if they're not senior personnel, because we know that many STEM projects have staff that work very closely with the scholars. They're welcome to come too, even if they're not senior personnel. So we're very much open in that like PI term. So yes, all folks who are related to supporting STEM programs and making them run and supporting scholars are welcome to come. They just need to register and make their own travel arrangements.
Thank you, Tara. The next question is, can we nominate scholars who are accepted to our STEM program for the fall, but who are not current students? Our STEM project supports transfer students, juniors and seniors.
That is a good question. I would ask, is this part of a track 3 grant or a grant that is like multi-institutional? If that person wants to type in the chat or answer.
Yeah, which Shannon, you can also unmute now. I made it so
Okay.
everyone can
Yes.
unmute, so you don't have to type.
Okay. Our institution is an upper division institution. So our institution only accepts transfer students. So it's a track 2 award. But yeah, most of our scholars will be coming in as juniors.
I think as long as you know for sure that they're going to be an active scholar in your program, um, I think that makes sense because are you saying that like right now there wouldn't be any scholars eligible to attend?
We're ending a track 1 right now.
Hmm.
So our final students are graduating from our track 1 this spring, and we got a track 2 that we're recruiting for the fall for currently.
And they will be active in the fall, but you
Yes,
already
they'll be
know who
active.
those students are.
We anticipate that we will have a portion of them accepted by the end of the nomination period.
Okay. I think that will be okay because you like have that commitment from those scholars. What I was thinking about is oftentimes for those that are track threes or just awards where they're collaborative, like a community college working with a four-year institution, um, that's totally fine for people to nominate those transfers that are coming from the community college to the four-year. We just ask you all to coordinate your nomination just so that they're not duplicate nominations. So like if the PI of the community college wants to take the lead and submitting that nomination so that we have one per award and not one per institution. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tara. I'm going to ask you this one because I'm not 100% sure of the answer. Will there be any conference paper proceedings publication?
We don't usually do that. What we do is a call for workshops and a call for posters. So for PIs, this is a really great opportunity for you to share about your STEM work. And again, the it's a little bit different in orientation, right? Because on the scholar side, we're wanting them to present and talk about their STEM work, so their disciplinary science and technology engineering work. But on the PI side, we want you to focus on your project effective practices, strategies for supporting STEM scholars, program students. So, like, you're not going to submit an abstract to present about your scientific work. It would be about a poster on your STEM program, STEM project, what you found works well with your scholars, things like that. So it's a knowledge exchange and sharing in terms of posters and workshops and plenary sessions about how to effectively run STEM programs and support low-income talented students in STEM, if that's helpful. If for some reason you think you might have a requirement to do I forget what it's called, like a third year review or something with your NSF program officer, just send an email to your NSF program officer, and usually your poster presentation that you do at this meeting will satisfy that requirement.
Thank you, Tara. I answered this one, but maybe good to just say it out loud. So will you provide the recommended arrival and departure times or starting hour and ending hour for the meeting so that we know what time to arrive and what time to depart and whether, just planning travel in general?
Definitely, yes. And I don't know, do we have that on our website yet or not yet?
I don't believe it's posted yet, but we will have at least a broad bone skeleton. It won't have all of the details yet, but it will help you to plan travel. And then as
Yes.
things are finalized, we'll update the agenda on the website.
Yeah, usually it's a late afternoon start on the first day, a full day of programming, and then we end by noon on the third day.
Are there any other questions? Feel free to raise your hand or put them in the chat. Yes, Tunkay, I just saw your message. So on all the email communications with scholars, and all scholars receive a travel award. It's just PIs that have to apply. So all scholars get the travel award. On every email that we send to scholars, you will be copied as the PI.
Thank you so much in advance for helping your scholars through this, feel prepared and confident to attend. Oh, great question, Lindsay. Any advice for scholars who may be hesitant to travel or leave home? Yeah, this is one of the biggest things, and it's so common amongst this group because the vast majority of scholars who attend this meeting have never flown before, have never been this far away from home before, all of the things, right? So it's great in that this year is a joint meeting where you can coordinate to travel with them as, a faculty staff member that might help ease their nerves a bit if they have a faculty or staff member as a travel partner to help them get to and from the meeting. We also put together a tips for first time flying. Is that correct, Rachel? Is that what it's called?
Yes, we do. And it'll be posted on the website as well. Just how to pack a suitcase, how to, get through TSA, you need to bring your ID, all of those kinds of things. We have on a one pager that they can have with them.
And we host several know before you go workshops where we talk about this as well. So this an information kind of like this for scholars to help them feel prepared. But simple things. I think having conversations with them is the best thing, more than all of the information sessions and flyers and things and information sheets that we sent out. Because you know them, you have the relationship with them. But just simple things like wearing layers, because it's probably going to be colder in the conference than it will be in a regular room, like wearing comfortable shoes because it's a big building. We're going to do a lot of walking. like all of the, similar to helping them navigate college, those unwritten rules and unwritten curriculum. It's sort of the same thing with attending a professional conference, like helping to make the invisible visible for them, thinking about all of those areas that, like, as a first time person experiencing this, what wouldn't you know? What wish somebody would have told you your first time attending a professional conference. But what's great, yeah, like I said, is this year's they could um, we encourage scholars to travel in groups too. So, if you have 5 or 6 scholars attending from your university, that when they coordinate their flights, when they go to book their flights, they all call at the same time so they can speak to the same travel agency and get on the same flight together, and they can coordinate the ground transportation together, and you can help them with that. And if you are attending alongside them, that really helps. Oh,
Yeah.
Jesse, I see you had a Make the Most of Your Conference Experience workshop. That was great. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure, yeah. And I'd be happy to share the slides from it if I can dig them up. But we are a pretty large grant. We're 7 sites. So we typically have had a handful of students go to these meetings. And we have been really fortunate to have faculty go with them 2 years ago. And so we had student alumni who had attended the previous conference attend as well and offered their perspective on what they got out of it, what they wish they'd known in advance. And we've been really closely assistive with just making sure they're meeting their travel booking deadlines and putting them in communication with each other before they go and making sure they're with each other while they're there.
That's
Awesome.
fantastic. Great.
Yeah, that's really cool, Josie. And I saw your question above that as well. And we offer them periodically throughout the kind of big milestones of this process. So this one is with you guys now because you're in charge of the nomination. But once we've accepted, we'll have one that says, okay, great, you've been accepted. Here's how you book your travel, and here's how you do your registration. And we go over all the deadlines and what to expect. And then when we get a little bit closer, we have one that's okay, like it's coming up soon. Here's what to expect for a poster presentation. Here's what conferences are like. What should you bring with you? Here's how you travel. All those kinds of logistical pieces as well. So they're kind of periodically throughout the main milestones of the meeting and the process, I guess. Tara, there was another question that I wanted to ask you. There was a question that said, will we be invited to present workshops for scholars like last year in San Diego?
Yes. So when the call for workshops comes out, there you'll see there will be an option that asks, like, what is the intended audience of your workshop? Because we have two now. So you can design a workshop for your colleagues, so, for PIs, program staff, evaluators, uh, social science researchers, whatever it is, on the staff side for the PIs and project leaders to attend. Or you can design a workshop for the scholar side, where that could be about study tips. We've had so many good workshops on, like, financial literacy, on diverse pathways and STEM career-wise, of, like, preparing for elevator pitches and resumes, or um, all types of really good student support, professional development um, workshops for scholars, for the scholar audience. So you can do that as well. Yes, so there's the option for different types of workshops there.
Thanks, Tara. Another good question just came in. Will there be any STEM program officers from NSF attending the meeting?
They'll definitely be Tom Kim and Mike Ferrara. They are huge fans and look forward to this conference every year. Um, they will be there. I'm not sure. We hope that there will be more program officers in the STEM portfolio that will be able to attend. I imagine that there will be, because we are close to Alexandria and it makes travel a bit easier. So yes, stay tuned. I don't know who off the top of my head besides Mike and Tom right now, but I can assure you they will be there with bells on. I
Thanks,
think I
Tara.
saw one question that was about who's on the email list.
Yes, I was going to
Yeah.
type an answer, but now that you're answering it, go ahead.
Yeah. So We do have the form sent to go out to the PI of every award. So on March 2nd, I believe it's set to go at 10 a.m. You'll get, if you're the PI of an SM award, you'll get an email with the nomination form link. But we encourage you to coordinate with your team, with your co-PIs, project staff. Every STEM works differently. We know that. But we sent it to the point person being the PI of every award so that you can work together to brainstorm about who would be the up to 10 scholars that you would like to nominate and talk about, having conversations to gauge their interest and then talk about which person on your leadership team would be responsible for submitting the form. So yes, please share it as you see fit with your other colleagues in the STEM.
Are there any other questions? I think we're all caught up in the chat. Tara, you did such a good job. Nobody has any questions.
I felt like I just sprayed a fire hose at you all. So I would say, has anybody attended the Chicago meeting, which was a joint PI scholars meeting? That's the only other time we hosted a joint meeting. Who would like to come off mute and share a piece of advice or something that they would feel would be helpful for those attending for the first time? Oh, we got a taker. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sochi Delgado Solorzano from the University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. Um, Something that we had a pretty large group of students attend that meeting because there were two STEM grants at the university at that time. And we did prep them beforehand, encourage them to go to sessions separately because they have a tendency to move in their little packs that they're comfortable with. And some of them did, but I think just encouraging them to branch out and connect with other students at the meeting is really helpful, and maybe creating some things to hold them accountable for that. So I had some check-ins with them throughout the day and asked them to tell me about one new person that they met at one of their sessions that day. And they, after the meeting, when they wanted to go out, they wanted to stay together. I would do some things with them, but then also just I need to get some work done, or y'all just need to go explore on your own. I know it's scary being in a new place, but just encouraging them to go explore on their own.
Yeah, that's fabulous advice. I think that we assume a lot of times that they're just sticking packs because they're just comfortable with each other. But one thing we've noticed is, learning how to network well is a skill, and it might be something you want to work with your scholars on before they even get to the meeting. For a lot of folks, if the first time you're practicing networking is walking into our exhibit hall, that's going to be super overwhelming. And is not going to be the most fun experience for anyone. So I think it's remembering some of those little skills that we just take for granted now because we're so used to it and we do it all the time. Just not assuming that your scholars know those things or that they're a natural kind of thing, because we all do that. We all tend to go with people we know and aren't inclined to just branch out easily. So practicing those skills beforehand might be a really good idea.
And you just reminded me, Rachel, we also have I think you helped develop a good document that's tips for how you navigate the career and education fair. So we
Yeah.
encourage you all to use our all these little tip sheets that we make. I think it's most useful if you take them and then you do these things like people are talking about on their own campus with their groups of scholars to really get them to engage with things. Because as you know, we put so much information out there. It doesn't necessarily mean that scholars are going to read it. But if you use them as a way to help encourage them to start thinking about these things and working together on these things, that's really helpful.
Yeah. Patricia, I saw your hand next, and then Jennifer, I saw you.
I just wanted to make sure I understood because I'm on my cell phone in my car and I may have there was some connectivity issues, but for the joint PI conference, I know that I heard you say, Tara, that the NSF pays for the scholars. So for the PIs, is our grant supposed to pay for the PI to attend, or
Yes.
does NSF pay for the P? Okay.
Yeah, so you should within your proposal when you did your budgeting, and I'm pretty sure I learned that you can adjust your budget lines as you go too. There should be funds set aside in your grant to attend the every other year PI convening. Those are the funds that you can
Okay.
use to attend this.
Yeah.
And
And
for those
Okay.
Patricia,
folks who don't, for some reason, just don't have funds available to attend and they're in an active grant and they would like to attend this year, they can apply. We have a small pot of funding for non-scholars to be able to attend.
So then the follow-up question, when it's a year, because I was at the San Diego conference, which
Hmm.
was not a joint conference.
Yes, that was a
And
scholars one.
so NSF paid for the PI to attend.
Because you served as a meeting mentor. So that's a slight difference between the scholars meeting and the joint meeting. So, and when it's a
Okay,
scholars meeting, we can only accommodate about 100 or so faculty staff to come, and they come as meeting mentors, and we give you small assignments to help us out. So with that, since
right.
that's every year, those that year wouldn't have been budgeted into your grant because in theory you only budgeted funds for an every other year conference. So that's why we pay for the meeting mentors when it's a scholars year.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And so yeah, because I wasn't able to go to the joint in Chicago. I had fractured my foot, so I wasn't able to attend. I had to send someone else. With my scholars. But so okay, so that answers that question of we just need to inform our our grants office that we'll be attending. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
we'll
that
share with
we'll
you
need to put
all.
that in the budget.
Yes, and we'll share with you all, we've negotiated hotel discounts and blocks and stuff like that. So we'll share with you the hotel rates for the blocks that we have set up to help you all so that it's not an astronomical cost to stay at a hotel in DC. Um, yeah, and then you can use the site to book your hotel room with our hotel block, and then you just be responsible for booking your own flight.
Oh, okay. 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 That's yeah, that's okay. So we can get that done. And okay, so that will there be like mentor workshops like you see at the that isn't the joint meeting? Will there be opportunities for that?
So you can submit a proposal to do to lead a workshop or to do a poster presentation. And that's
Okay.
open to all the PI, co-PI attendees. So I know it gets confusing. When it's a joint meeting, there's no such thing as a meeting mentor because in theory, every PI,
Mm,
project staff, all the folks that come are kind of serving in that meeting mentor role because you're all guiding and supporting the scholars as you're attending with them. But then the perk is that you also get to engage with your colleagues, more of them at a larger scale, and
right.
have some um, separate workshops and poster presentations where you're focused on the content of supporting STEM scholars and best practices for STEM programs and sharing lessons learned there.
So and so I know the first year I was in attendance for the first year. And then I was like a tour guide around DC. Are you going to be doing that again?
Unfortunately, no. That was our first time.
Okay.
It was a as you probably remember, that was a huge
I bet.
undertaking
Yeah.
logistically. And I think,
Okay.
and especially since it's a joint meeting, I think you all, we could just provide the information to you all about the Smithsonian museums and attractions, and you all can just coordinate with your scholars and other students that you meet and other faculty
Okay.
to just go on
Okay.
your own and not have us coordinate it. But thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
That
thank you
was
for
a
your
big
past
undertaking.
service. It was. Yeah, we
Oh
learned our
yeah, it
lesson
was
there.
great. Yeah, that was great the first year. That was good. And even San Diego was good. I was a genius facilitator. I love that. That was
Perfect.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Thank
good
you
too.
so much. Appreciate
Okay.
that. We'll hope to
That's
see
all
you in
my
DC.
questions.
Thank
Yes,
you.
you will. You will.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
And Jennifer, I saw your hand next.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that. First of all, my name is Jennifer Kudashima. I'm from Evergreen Valley College, which is a 2-year college in San Jose, California. And in the past, so this will be our 4th year nominating scholars, and they all really enjoy this. And especially, this is really meaningful for local community college students who maybe have never left our local hometown. And we had returning scholars who said that attending the conference actually encouraged them to apply for out of state schools to transfer to apply for
Great.
internships that are further away, that was their first time traveling out of state and that they just really adored it. And so one bit of advice that we give to that we do in our program, because we do have students who are very hesitant to even apply to a school that's more than 10 miles away from home, is that we actually have the returning scholars run a mentoring session with the newer scholars, talking about advice for travel, what they learned from it, and just really encouraging the newer scholars to apply to attend this. And so because of that, we've actually had a lot of scholars, more scholars than we can nominate, who said that they were really interested. So thank you again for running these workshops. The scholars really do appreciate it.
Thank you. We're so happy to hear that. And it's
That's
such a
really amazing.
wonderful tips. Yeah, like I keep saying, we're in DC so disconnected from you and your scholars. So the best thing is for your scholars who have attended before to provide guidance, for you to provide guidance, to really open up dialogue and conversation and help them to feel prepared and comfortable and get them to think about what this is going to be like and help to build their confidence even before they get there. And then what we do is just provide that supportive environment. And it's just an amazing, for those that attended, I know you understand, such an amazing, inspiring. I'm always so almost at a high in a way because the energy there of these scholars when they all come together is just awesome. I think because they're all hesitant, right? They're all kind of nervous and scared. It's a very diverse group. There's, I mean, in terms of age, ethnicity, whether you're from the country or the city, it's diverse on every level, but the commonality that they have, or commonalities that they often have, is they just come from backgrounds that don't have many resources. And, they're likely the first in their families to even attend college or attend some sort of professional experience like this, or try to go for, non blue collar jobs or things like that. So those commonalities, I think, even though they're so different in many ways, they're actually really similar in many ways. And I think it allows them to kind of and breathe and know all these other students are kind of like me. They have the same fears, the same a lot of ways, resilience, grittiness, all these wonderful aspects that the SM scholars have. And it allows them just to flourish because I think their guards kind of drop and that imposter syndrome kind of drops a little bit because they're all in the same boat in the same shoes and they connect with one another. And you'll see in the Hoova app that we use, so we have a meeting app called Hoova. They make such phenomenal connections, meetups. So yeah, definitely encourage your scholars to not only connect in person when they're there, but to start connecting beforehand when we start launching the app. They just, find common interests, do meetups. Sometimes they'll bring who wants to meet for Uno, for Yahtzee? We had one time a bunch of scholars, they went out and did karaoke together and they never knew each other before. Things like that kind of happened too. And we've heard stories where scholars have stayed in touch with each other after the meeting and had those relationships last. And I actually heard of one situation where a couple met their future fiance. So we had a marriage actually, which was a connection that had started at a scholars meeting. So that was that's a cool story too. So yeah, it's really so meaningful and powerful. So we're really excited. It's a lot of work, but it's totally worth it. It's very much of a life-changing experience, and we appreciate all the work that you all do every day on your campuses, working with these scholars day in and day out, and just so happy to work in partnership with you all to support these amazing students.
Thanks, Tara. We're actually at time, so I'll let you close us out. Thank you all today for coming today. But Tara, I'll let you go ahead and close us out.
Sure, yeah. This was a very informal info session, so we don't really have any asks beyond continue to engage with us, continue to connect, check out our website, read our emails. That's our number one thing is like read our newsletters, our emails, our messages, and encourage the scholars to read our emails and our messages because that's our main way of communicating with them and letting them know things like they've been selected, here's instructions for travel. So thank you all again for supporting your scholars and the great work that you do every day on your campuses. Please let us know anytime if you have questions. You can email us at ssteminitative@AAAS.org. And the group of us monitor this email. So we try our best to respond as quickly as we can to your questions. But stay tuned. We'll share lots more information and details about the meeting in the months to come. Looking forward to seeing you all in DC soon
Thank
in
you all very
October.
much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.